and this might be a little crazy, but I really believe it. Most men children are products from single mothers. You giving him so much that at the end of the day, when life hits you, because life is going to hit every single soul on this earth.
With a fucking backhand.
And the day that you're not there to hug him, he's going to break and he's going to fold, especially as a minority in this country. Right? So I think that a lot of men that I grew up with, and I'm a product of a single parent, which I always say is I've watched a lot of other black men, especially where I'm at, or Spanish men where I'm at, or where I was growing up at, have single mothers. And I watched most of them, not all of them, most of them be weak men and be failures in life.
Oh, damn, you had to hit him with the F word?
But because what happens is, I think that it's so important to have both people to teach people because, like I said, my grandmother was coddling my cousin, or uncsin, right? But my step-grandfather was arguing with her about coddling him. So eventually she stopped, and eventually he got to become a man, and he does very well for himself. Matter of fact, he has his own gym in New Jersey. Shout him out. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to his gym.
But like a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to be a man.
Oh, I know a man-child, right?
Okay.
Talk about it.
I am not going to let anyone know who this person is because
I already know who it is.
very dear to my heart. No,
Me too.
Absolutely not.
I don't know.
I was just like, hey, who is it? Cause shit.
I thought we were friends, Jay.
No. This person is very dear to me, but they definitely were raised by a single mother that actually had good influential men in the household, like twice. So the mother was married once and was in a long-term relationship for the most part before the husband. And but it was just something about the mom. And I think sometimes just the mental health and stability of the parent can affect a person as well, right? Because this person's lived, a very healthy lifestyle. They were active in different after-school activities. We did,
like all the
trips
perks
and stuff. Exactly. And I just think that the mother abandoned them.
Abandoned how?
Yes. She abandoned her child when he was, let's say 17, 16.
He's not a child at 17, 16, but...
I know, but...
He's ready for the world.
Today, at our age that we're at, he can't figure it the fuck out.
Damn.
He can't.
I think that one thing about being an adult, being a man or whatever, or just, I would say being an adult, 'cause it's not a man or woman thing, is the ability to be honest. And,
come on now.
And have people get on your show, on your program, after you've been honest with them. So I think sometimes man-children probably don't, they have an issue with being honest.
Because they lack the emotional maturity, to be honest.
Right, but look, if you're...
I think they also lack self-identity. So there's women that are giving you sex while you're being an active adult child. There's women that are giving you whatever you want. There's businesses or whatever that is giving you whatever you want. You're not gonna change because you're still getting all the benefits. There wouldn't be no reason for you to change. So
Absolutely.
That's what happens, and that's why these adults become children, or these adults act like children for so long in their life. But that just made me realize that there are more adult children in this world than we think. Because for you to be an adult man and still acting like a child, that really comes down to the simple fact that you have had success with adult women and or business, or same sex, whatever you prefer, and acting like a child. You've been given rewards by all these different areas of your life.
Okay.
So it's just hard.
Do you think that's the reason why? I always say that in our community, there are so many absent, there have been so many absent fathers because they still get what it is that they want from the women that they desire, and they can be absent, and it doesn't.
I think it's so much more complex than that.
You have the ability to walk away. If you can walk away from your child that you sat up there and made and created, you are a man-child, because that is your responsibility. You brought that child, that human being, that piece of life into this world, and you are able to walk away from it. And then the other woman child, whoever the fuck that is, she has to now become a woman, no longer a woman child, and take care of this this human
Hopefully.
being that you guys both brought into
And then
this
she gotta
world.
go through her whole
Does the
phase
man,
after 40.
And then does the man ever? That's not the point we're on though.
still a
But does the
fucking-
man
she's a
ever?
temporary-
At what point does the man come out of his man-child behavior? Because obviously having the baby didn't do that. So for the men that are not present in their children's lives, because there's a lot of them, you just go about your goddamn day. You at the sneaker store. You on dates with hoes, and the lady is at the house taking care of your child, not getting no sleep, whatever. Not my situation, but I'm just saying in general.
I would say that.
When does he become a man?
It depends, right?
If that didn't do it, what will?
What can I answer?
I'm stressed out.
The army.
Yeah, right. And
child.
that's a whole different children, right? But it depends on what context we're talking about, because there's also a very big variable. A lot of men that are able to walk away from children probably lacked one of those parents in their lives. So they can deem it as normal, and it can justify it for their emotional part of their, assessment of the situation.
Can we tell them that's not normal and we gotta heal
No,
and do
it's
better?
not. It's not normal at all. But the issue is, and I'm not sticking up for anybody. I think that as a man, if you walk away from your child, you are a man-child,
And a
right?
coward.
And a coward. But I also
And a lame.
And I also think that I would also argue for for the stat, because the stat has a negative stigma on men.
Baby
that-
mamas. I
Wait,
get it.
no, not even that.
Okay.
I would also argue that the stat is actually probably less for men walking away and not being present in the kid's life from the ages of 32 and younger.
What do you mean? Like the
age of
the
the
man was
The-
32, or
The amount of men that abandon their children from the ages of 32 or younger is a lot less than the amount of over that age.
So you think older men walk away from their children more?
I think that prior 20, 30 years ago, it was more normalized.
Back in like Papa was a Rolling
Yes.
Stone.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
That's-
no, wait a minute now.
I'm not gonna say normalized, but I'm gonna
But
say.
I feel like those men still took care of their home, and they took care of their second home too.
And Betty Susan home.
I mean, but well, I don't want to get into it because I don't have an actual,
Betty Susan.
Yeah.
definitive fact for it. But I was talking on.
So
the
you're just
phone.
saying like the generation before us is so like we'll say boomers.
I would say 35 and older.
Or
typically, because
Gen Z.
me.
Gen X.
well, no.
Gen X.
Gen X.
You think X's?
I think Gen X. I don't know
I
a
don't know the
single
stats.
man. I know a lot of men, children, and some of them, unfortunately, are my best friends. Right?
Sorry.
That are all man children with children, but they're still very relevant in their child's lives. I don't.
Well, then they're not completely a man.
You know what I'm saying? No, they're still a man-child because
they have multiple children?
They still live with their parent. They're, you know what I'm saying? They still can't keep a job. They still don't have any sort of like
Direction.
Yeah, exactly, in their life or path, and they're still trying to find themselves. So to me, that's still a child, right? But yet they're still really relevant in their child's lives. Now, to answer that, all in all, with that being said, I think that if you do leave your child, that it means you are a coward. And as a man, I had a man-child moment, because that, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be straight honest with you, because of the way that my situation happened, it kind of like, the way my situation happened, my mind for the first second was like, yo, fuck all of this. I don't have to deal with this. This was like against my wishes.
Oh, this is real shit.
Right? So, but when you are a man and not a man-child, you have man friends that would check you when you're wrong. And I had a lot of friends that checked me when I was like, no, hell no, you can't do that. Are you stupid? And I was like, all right, yeah, you know what, you're right. And, things have changed. But when you have man children as your immediate circle friends and you can turn to male children, the problem is you get bad advice. And a lot of people do find a relevancy within their friend group. And that's why it's like an ongoing thing.
I have a question. So I mean, we've talked a lot about the problem. Everybody I'm a solutions-based person. What do we
Call her
do?
the solutionist.
Oh,
Aaron, the
She needs to get
solutionist.
certified.
the resident. Yeah, what are certificates? Make me a certificate.
There's multiple different solutions, right? But let's say we start at a younger age. There are some boys that you can identify early on in their life and be like, this is a very independent boy. This is a very dependent boy.
Right. Yeah.
Right? The beautiful thing about both is that the dependent boy, all you have to do is show him examples of who to depend on, or be the example for him for who to depend on, right? So then now he's not going to be following the wrong footsteps or the wrong paths in life that will ultimately, you know, transition him to a man-child. For the dependent boy, the only thing you need to do is point in directions, but you have to allow him to experience it, because he's going to find a way to experience it or not.
Yeah.
But if you point directions that give solid reasoning, then he'll be good. But that's if you want to start from the core, which is like the birth. A lot of times it's hard because you can't put that burden on a man that early in his age, right? So what ends up happening is,
which a lot of moms do.
I hope I'm not
They're like, you the man of the house. You 7.
Should not do.
But
You're 7.
a man, and I put this as one of my captions on Instagram, a stand-up man, they actually have a dictionary, a definition for it, is a man who can stand on his word with good character, right? So if you can stand on your word with good character, if I love, and this is what I get off on in life, when I can sit here and I can tell somebody, yo, I'm gonna do this, and there's not a doubt in that person's mind. That's how you know you're a man, because now your word has so much honesty and respect to it that your word is your bond and people can trust your word. If you are a liar, if you're a person who always wants to get over on people, whether it's man or woman, for money, for whatever self-gratification, but typically you're not really you're not really
efficient.
No, you're not really fulfilled. You're lying to the whole world, but you're not really fulfilled. But you're getting this money, you're getting these accolades, but you're still a boy because you're uncomfortable with being yourself and revealing who you truly are. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think a real man-child is. And when it comes down to it, the only way you can do it is by literally sitting down with yourself, asking yourself, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I represent? When I leave this earth, what do I want people to say about me, and how did I act upon that? Yeah. You know, a lot of men children don't do that. They don't care about it. They'll point the finger, they'll blame that, or they'll point the finger and lie about this just to make this facade about themselves. And I hate those type of people. I hate those type of men. I had dudes that would lie to girls and try to play this whole bullshit, charming shit. And I'm like, bro, stop. And I had to cut him off, because at the end of the day, he wasn't a man. He was a boy trying to lie for rewards.
You know what? So Rico, I have a question.
Thank you. Hold up. Thank you, Rico, for clarifying that, because the association about the fiscal or financial association.
But I get what he was trying to say.
He does that with everything.
I know he does. I know he always. It always circles back to money.
It's valid, but it's valid, y'all. It is valid.
When you don't have no money, it really makes you think, damn, I ain't shit out here.
You get people that don't really know how to be an adult, and they're influencing everyone around them. They're bringing everybody in. They're having these bad behaviors, and they're making people think that that's okay. And there's nothing okay about that. Or like the guys who get a bunch of money and they're running through women, dogging women, talking to them crazy. They're not even happy with themselves. They're insecure, and you're trying to like be the best version of yourself for them. And they're just somebody who came into money. They're just someone who, I became a rapper. I became an influencer. I became whatever you've become. And now you're making people think that you have more value than you actually have, when really you're just someone who came into money. And the money is not what's going to make you an adult. And when you are influencing people to not be better versions of themselves, but you're influencing people to just act a fool and, you know,
not be productive.
No integrity, not being
You have
productive.
no integrity. Your word doesn't matter.
They have no identity.
Right. You're not really an influencer.
Well, they have an identity.
Yeah, they do have an identity.
Their money's their identity.
They don't have a true identity. Like they're not.
They have
like
a facade.
a lot of influencers, and I watched this and heard this, do all these things for likes. They make content for dollar amounts, and they equate their followers to who they are, right? And then what ends up happening is they get lost into this facade of who they had to be. And then you typically see them go throughout life and say, well, that's not the full me. That's not the real me. Then they want to play the victim. And be like, well, you don't know what I am behind closed doors. Well, that's your fault, because you were actually you are childish enough, staying on topic, you're childish enough to be something outside of yourself, which is still not being real, still not being honest and authentic with yourself, thinking that this, whatever that is going to bring you some type of gratification. And the only thing it does is it prolongs your maturity in life. It prolongs your confidence of who you are, what you stand for, and what you represent. And I say this here at 8 at the table, and I'm so glad that, you know, life has blessed me with a platform and a team and a support system where I can make monetary gains, but just being real and being authentic and being genuine. And I think that that's what all these influencers need, because everybody's doing something for a like. You got people like, I ain't gonna say his name, but was risking going to jail by fake robberies and all this stuff just for to go viral, and then lost everything. You put all of this pressure on being something that you're not, for somebody to just turn your account off and you be lost in this world. You know what I'm saying?
That is true when you think about it.
Like, so you might as well have been yourself in the beginning.
So many people go crazy.
You know?
Y'all,
Fame is the worst drug known to man.
I actually want to like kind of not change the trajectory, but I think that we still gotta like focus on solutions, because like our solutions is like what's gonna help the people. And
you took the words out of my mouth, by the way, though.
And I don't know if a solution is fathers making sure that they're more involved in their sons' lives.
Let's say you don't have kids and you're a man child.
I mean,
there's some only kids, only.
No, no. I'm like, based on what we know, and we're talking about men, so please don't be in the comments, well, what about women? What I'm saying is that like, we've like given so much time to the problem.
Got you.
I want us to like, you from your perspective, what do you think you can do? You from your perspective, what do you think you can do? Like, what do we do? And let's just keep this community based. Yeah. Like, what do we do in our community such that we don't continue to produce men children who ultimately are not beneficial to our community, period. Right. Yeah. Like, what is it that we do?
Don't
do we
drink the Kool-Aid.
You know, but I think to me it's a training thing. Yeah. I think like if you like, and Rico said this, like if you want your son to grow up as a man, you instill man principles into your son. Absolutely. As a mother, you instill man principles from a woman's perspective into your son. You give them responsibilities. You make sure they understand what accountability is, what consequences are, how to critically think, how to not react out of emotion, how to like, you know, go A to F before you know, with a problem before you react. And I think that like, what people are looking for when we talk about this problem is like, what concretely, specifically do we do to make sure people don't like, you know, have these man children?
Well, one thing that I've noticed is that
I guess she thought
that was great.
One thing that I've noticed is, you know, it starts early. Behaviors become you at a very young age, and having both parents in my household with my child, I realize, you know, what he reacts to and who he runs to when something happens. For example, if he gets hurt, he runs to me. If he wants something, you know, like he's not supposed to have, he's gonna go to his dad, you know. And I just realized that like having those relationships are very responsible, and I mean very important. And I think that we have to be more responsible for our actions. So if you know that you want to have children, or you know that you're dating someone, we need to take more time to get to know each other and take more time to know exactly what we want from the partner that we're with at the time. You know, all of this fun and game stuff is cool, but wrap it up. If you're gonna be having unprotected sex, it's not gonna be a great outcome, because when you have a child, in order to prevent situations where we have man-child and abusive, and irresponsible men and women running around, we need to make sure we make better decisions when it comes to having a good mother and father in our child's life.
There has been two people in my life that me and my best friend have mentored from a young age. And one of the stories is, he actually hit me up today and told me, he's like, yo, I haven't spoken to you. I really miss you, bro. And he was saying, thank you, how like me and my best friend, how we helped shaped his life to become a man now that he's in college. And he's like a junior in college, almost graduated with a full scholarship at that. And I think what happens is, as a boy, I got lucky for the time that I really needed it is the time I had a stepfather. So my mom, women need to understand that you cannot teach your son how to be a man. You can't. is I'm not trying to get into a gender thing.
You don't know.
But you genuinely don't know. And like I say this, I got lucky because at a pivotal age, and I'm gonna say 13 was that age, is when I had a stepfather. Well, he came into my life around 10, but I didn't trust him till 13, right? And from 13 to 17 is when he helped shape shift the man in me. You know what I'm saying? And just like the example that I'm using, he was around 14 when he reached out to my best friend, and they saw each other working out in the gym in the complex, and he said, "Hey, my dad isn't there. I don't have any older brothers. I just really want to talk about women because I don't get it." And that's how the conversation started. And then from there, you know, my best friend was trying to explain something to him and he couldn't get it to him. So he's like, yo, can I call my best friend? And you cool with telling him the situation? And we're going to collectively have a conversation to see who can communicate with the most receptive way for you. And since that day, since he was 14 years old and he's 20 years old right now, so 6 years, he's been like, we call it under our wing. And in those 6 years, he graduated as the best athlete in his school. He got full scholarship. He's doing well in his academics, and he's on pace to graduate on time. And I think that's a solution.
Community.
As a man, especially if you're a man who's confused about what to do, whether you do have your dad or you don't have your dad, doesn't matter. You ask somebody who you really genuinely think is winning. Ask a man who you think is winning at being a man. You know, and then when you ask a man, you trust that man because you think he's winning. So you trust him to guide you. And you know, as a man, who's winning and who's not.
Do you know that as a boy?
Well, as a boy, you know it too. Because as a boy, you see what you want to emulate. Right? So, you know, and this was another, you know, pivotal moment for me too.
And also, women need to figure out what a man-child looks like, because a lot of y'all just let that shit flow.
Yeah, which I don't want to get into that.
No, we're going to talk about that on the follow-up.
Because there are the reasons why there are children winning.
A lot of women.
And those are the women that I be trying to say,
don't
don't let these women win.
There's groups for young men, right, to help be a man. If you need an out, if you need a representation and or you know, a role model. I feel like that should be something that should be talked about.
Big Brother program.
Yeah, like a Big Brother program. Like I'm pretty sure, like
100 black men.
You might,
That'd be nice.
You might work in this field, so you're very knowledgeable. But I don't know nothing about the field. But I do know that there are women groups. But I never, as a man, felt like I knew that there were man groups. There's no education on that.
That needs to start.
There's a lot of them, actually.
And it needs to be in the inner city.
There are a lot of them that are given where the boys don't attend. A lot of them in urban high schools are taking place. Actually, in the state of New Jersey, we're just going to talk about New Jersey, the Children's System of Care has a ton of free programs, free at no cost to the parent, that kids can participate in. And you could just Google New Jersey Children's System of Care, and you can find a whole bunch of... No, the parent has... And they... Oh, by the way, there are parent resources. Yes, but there are parent resources.
The kids are not going to do the research, though. The parents have to be
My mom
active.
taught in Newark for about, I think, 7 years. And she was breaking down, coming home, breaking down to the point where I had to go to school with her one day. I was in like 8th grade, like, what's going on? And it's so crazy because, when you see it, when you hear it, it's one thing. When you witness it, it's a different thing. And you witness all these kids, you know, specifically minority kids in this area, where I remember vividly there was this boy, he got suspended, and he got suspended for stealing from lunch. And when he was stealing from lunch, they said, why are you stealing food from the cafeteria?
Right.
And he literally said, and my mom broke down, I remember this very vividly. He said, because this is the only time we're gonna eat. My mom hasn't showed up in 3 days. I don't know where she is.
And they suspended him?
Yeah, and he got suspended.
And that's what's messed up.
But here's the thing, a curriculum and a school system, they don't, even though they do know, they can't treat every household the same. Yeah. So it becomes very hard. But then you got this boy who, dad, he probably doesn't know. Damn. His mom is nowhere near present. She comes and goes in and out the house. And then he's in the 6th, 7th grade What do you
On his
expect?
own.
On his
Right.
own, stealing from school to survive.
Right.
And then it gets to a point, then we're like, yo, you know what? We shame these people when they grow up and they're messed up. And it's like, well, what do you
That's why I
expect?
said